Should you buy the Curve DAO or CRV token? How will the price develop over time? And what does the technical analysis say? In this video, we will look at the charts of CRV. We will have a look, does it make sense to hold on to that token? So say you've been staking liquidity on Curve, made some return, got some CRV, or maybe you're even considering buying CRV as an investment because you're believing that this DEX is gonna grow in more popularity. And so we will look at CRV not just in US dollar terms, but we will also compare it to Bitcoin, so CRV denominated in BTC, and we will also compare it with Ethereum. Now there's a lot of exchange tokens you might buy into. You could consider the centralized BNB token. You could think about buying Uni, so the token of the Uniswap exchange. But here in this video, we're not going to make a comparison. We're just simply looking at what is the technical analysis telling us, should you buy or hold onto CRV. So you're probably familiar with this chart. This is a CRV to US dollar chart. And obviously we can see quite a bit of price fluctuations over here. When the altcoin season started at the beginning of this year, CRV was able to outperform most other altcoins. So since the beginning of this year, we made 270% in CRV. And that's pretty impressive because if you compare this with Ethereum in that same time frame was only able to make around 160%. So there was this big altcoin rally since the beginning of this year. A lot of altcoins shot up. Bitcoin dominance went down. So Bitcoin dominance went from 72% all the way down to right now 42%. So this whole altcoin rally, it started beginning of this year. So when we look at CRV in this time frame, and it has outperformed quite a lot of other coins, we possibly have something that's worth having a look at. What I find interesting about this chart, about this recent development, this recent pump that we got here, this 70% pump, is that this price increase did not coincide with a volume increase. Usually what you see in smaller or medium cap coins is that prices increase in tandem with the additional attention that the asset gets. So maybe the asset is currently trendy, there's maybe interesting news published, or there's some other kind of hype. And with that, trading volumes rise, and with rising trading volumes, prices rise. But what we can see here is that the prices rose despite volumes declining. And that's very positive because that says even though there's not a lot of attention on the token, the value still increases. Now, how high can it go? It probably makes sense to put some support and resistance lines in this chart. So we're pretty close to a resistance right now. But if we were to break this level of around $2.37, we can potentially see another 50% up from here. Now, do I think that this resistance here will be broken? I wouldn't be surprised if it will, simply because of this positive dynamic. I mean, look at these other price pumps, right? Like this big pump at the beginning of the year, it coincided with a volume increase. And then usually what happens is when interest slows down, people move on to the next coin and the price declines. And this is also what happened over here. And the sell-off that we can see here, the sell-off starting from the 17th of May, that's the same kind of sell-off that we see here in Ethereum. So this was not particularly triggered by CRV or by people not believing into the token. It was a general pullback from the crypto market as a whole. And so in order to look at the specific movements of CRV, let's not look at it in terms of US dollars, but let's compare this to Ethereum and to Bitcoin. So let's start with Bitcoin. This is now the CRV token priced in Bitcoin. And here we can see again that the altcoin season did its job. CRV had this big run up at the beginning of the year of a gain of 300%. And again, here we can see that even though the volumes decline, CRV was able to make more than 60% in a very short time period against Bitcoin. So this is where I currently see the trading range. We are pretty much in the middle of it with a potential gain against Bitcoin of around 30%, a potential loss of around 38%. And so obviously we are not currently dirt cheap, but still I'm fairly impressed how well it can hold up versus Bitcoin. And given that general interest seems to be going down. Probably the most important of the charts is the CRV to Ethereum valuation, because in the end you buy Bitcoin just for the long term to dollar cost average every month. But once you go into altcoins, you actually have to compare the performance to the main altcoin, the biggest altcoin, Ethereum. And that's because altcoins and Ethereum have similar characteristics. You have this development team. It's relatively centralized compared to Bitcoin. In Bitcoin, you don't even know the inventor. You don't have a real attack surface in case it gets outlawed. But for altcoins, that's usually different. You normally know who's behind the project. And so altcoins have a different risk profile, but also a different reward profile. In general, they're riskier, but they can also perform more. And so if you compare now CRV with Ethereum, we do see again a relatively solid trading range. The price against Ethereum has pretty much stabilized now and is in this trading range of 0.006 ETH to 0.002 ETH. So that means when you buy at the bottom and sell at the top, you make a bit more over 200%, and vice versa. If you buy at the top and sell at the bottom, you would lose around 70%. So here again, we see a relatively favorable valuation. If you were to buy now, you could potentially lose 30% or win 120% versus Ethereum. So not too bad of a risk versus reward. So should you go ahead and buy Curve token right now? Obviously, I can't give financial advice. And the major caveat is the current Bitcoin dominance. It's very low. So altcoins already had quite a bit of a run since beginning of this year. And if Bitcoin and Ethereum go down too heavily and this dominance here is shooting up again and we actually find a floor here and all the speculation is actually over, then it doesn't really matter what kind of decentralized exchange token you have. They would all lose. But if you're rather on the side of taking risk and you're thinking about buying an altcoin and buying one that's not yet overhyped like Cardano might be, this token might be a place to make a small bet, cover your losses quickly in case the trend does reverse. But right now, it looks like momentum is on the side of CRV. So if you are this kind of risk taker, it might not hurt to place a small bet. If you like this video, please give this a thumbs up. YouTube will then show the channel to a new audience. Feel free to subscribe as well. And last but not least, we've also got a Telegram channel that you can find a link to in the description below. See you next time. Bye bye.